Bear Care, Mark Zimmerman's hair. That's right, you got a haircut. It's Hotline League episode 76. Getting into the show right now. So much to talk about. We're very forward thinking on this episode. Just looking at the future. There's so much ahead of us. There's Summer Split coming up. There's Rift Rivals. There's Worlds. Let's just think about the future.
Collegiate. Don't forget about Collegiate. Starts this week.
Collegiate this weekend. It's a very forward-looking episode of Hotline League. Shout out to Alienware, by the way, for sponsoring the show. I really appreciate them doing that. It's been amazing having them alongside us during this journey that we've been on. And we're going to go on a journey throughout this episode. We're going to get into it right now. We'll talk more about them later on, but thanks to them for sponsoring the show. We're joined by Kel. We made this episode, but before we get to him, Mark, how you been?
I've been great. I was lucky enough to be a part of a great product like Listen Loco yesterday.
Yikes.
So I'm really excited to come back down to earth and do Hotline League. Game of Thrones ended last night. I'm sure we'll talk about that for the last 30 minutes of this show because there's really not that much else to talk about.
Yeah, it's been a quiet week since we did Hotline League last Thursday. MSI wrapped up, and it's done. We're done with MSI. Kelby, how you been?
I've been really good.
Yeah.
Except for this weekend was pretty rough.
What
It was really
What
rough.
happened this weekend?
How was it rough? We
Game
had
of Thrones
birthday
ending
dinner.
sucked? Yeah. No. Kelby's right. Game of Thrones ending did suck.
It was my birthday.
Yeah, though I mean, like your birthday was the highlight of the weekend. But I mean, TL
What?
got 3-0'd.
Who?
Was this in
what?
Siege?
Team Liquid.
Yeah.
Oh, are we not? Oh, is this a gag where we're not acknowledging
Kelby.
that this happened?
Kelby,
Kelby, this
I
is
wasn't.
not a
You guys
gag.
didn't tell me this.
how did you not pick up on this shit? That was
Oh,
the whole
okay.
point
Never
of the
mind, it was a
beginning of the
great
episode.
weekend. I really liked it. It was fun. We hung out on your birthday.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Yeah, there was a cake and Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was awesome. Was that convincing?
Okay. Anyway, no, but Mark,
If you could redo either MSI's final or Game of Thrones final, which one would you redo?
I mean, probably MSI's final. Because Game of Thrones, like, there's a lot more to fix than just the final, so finale.
That's fair. Yeah.
But at the same time, MSI is like, it's not Worlds, you know what I mean? If that would have been like Worlds finals, it would be like no question, no even thought.
Yeah.
But
This is like, I guess, the Night King for MSI, and then the finals finale would actually be the World Final.
yeah.
Well, anyway, let's get into the show. So, I mean, we were memeing a little bit, but I'm sure we'll have to take some calls about. Well, first off, we haven't done a show since last Thursday, and we did a show basically 2 hours before what most, other than Kelsey Moser, would regard as the biggest upset of all time in League of Legends history, which was Team Liquid beating IG. Do you not?
What is a?
Huh?
You go ahead. Sorry.
Did you not think that was the? I thought you were the one that suggested that.
No, I agree. I was wondering what her case
her
was
take was
against it.
some IEM match between WE and a Korean team, I think, or something.
Oh yeah, that best of 3. Sorry, it loses on that basis alone.
Yeah, but anyway, so
I agree. That one was close though.
There was so that happened, and that was sick, and we can talk about that, and I quite frankly would love to talk about that, but also understand that we might have to talk about the TL G2 match, which was the least upset of all time. No upset, anti-upset there, I think. Whatever, I was upset at the end of it is what I'm getting at. So we could talk about that, and then I don't know if there's been too much other news. We didn't really talk about any of the roster trades or announcements on the last episode, I don't think, right? We got Wadid coming over to FlyQuest.
Well, we didn't do Wadid because that hadn't happened yet. But I thought we talked a little bit about Rune, and we talked a little bit about Amazing because we had Medic on who could talk about Amazing.
Yeah, that's true. We did talk about Amazing. But either way, there is some stuff for us to talk about, and also, by the way, Summer Split starts in a week and a half. Actually, it's more closer to 2 weeks, but very soon. So that's going to be interesting. Maybe we should even talk about just like if that's too soon. I don't know. We'll see who calls in.
Is it actually in 2 weeks?
It's June 1st. This coming weekend is the only weekend we have off, and you have to do collegiate. So
Oh, what the fuck?
I know, right? Isn't that so weird?
Yeah, wait. I thought I
Is
thought it was I guess the first week of June to me meant like after like, you know, because it's technically starts Saturday. Like that's not the first week to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
So-
is it too late for you to get out of that collegiate stuff?
Yeah, it's my girlfriend and I's anniversary next week. So I was like, oh yeah, we'll go the week after collegiate.
Yeah.
Fuck.
The first week of LCS is what it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, time to tell Riot I can't make the first week.
Yes. Well. Great. Anyway,
I think they just found out.
talk about that. Mark, do you want to tweet out or have you yet?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll retweet it when you do.
What if I
but
don't do
anyway, those are the topics we have to talk about. I don't know. Look, I guess a couple different things here. One, how sick was that IG thing? It was funny. Mark didn't even want to post the last Hotline League because we were, especially him,
that was a joke.
so down on the idea of Team Liquid having even the chance of taking a couple games off of IG.
I said 2% chance they win the series.
Did you said 2% chance they win the series?
I said
There's a
1%
quote
versus
near the
SK.
start, I think, where or they used it in the Alienware update or the Team Liquid update, where they said like you had said the chances are near 0% of them.
I would say 2% is near 0%.
That's,
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Rounded down, it's 0.
I don't remember the 2% line, just the 0% line.
I remember saying 2% because later on a caller kind of brought it up, and I said 1% versus SKT, and then I was saying IG is a better matchup, so it doubles all the way up to 2%.
People really want to talk about this FaZe lawsuit. That's why we got Kelby on. So if people want to somehow link that into League of Legends,
I have been directed by my company to not comment publicly on this case. So, yeah.
Well, that's
Is that
why we
true?
brought you on the show. No one watches this, so you're good.
It's a private conversation.
Why have you
with
been
me
directed
and my
not
best
to?
friends. Huh?
I said, why have you been? Can you say why you've been directed not to?
Well, I mean, Pop Dog as a larger group exists to help the entire ecosystem, and you know, Tfue and FaZe are both a part of the ecosystem. I don't want any of my comments to be construed as taking sides. So yeah, I'm going to refrain. That's something, and I think Ninja, said it well on his stream today. It's a private matter. It's unfortunate that it has to be brought to the public light, and it will be resolved between those parties, and I don't know, perhaps in court. So,
See,
but
that seems
I will
okay.
not be providing.
So
any
I'm not going to
commentary
force you
on
to
it.
say anything here, but that seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
I feel like
Mm-hmm.
people are afraid to say anything because FaZe is like a big name in the industry. Because it's not. I don't think it's necessarily a private matter, right? Like,
Right.
I get, yes, that it is a contract. Okay, for those of you that don't know, because a lot of you probably don't follow, it's a complicated thing. I don't think we can talk. I can explain all of it, but you can go look. Basically, Tfue, who's represented by FaZe and is underneath the FaZe brand or whatever, is suing with a law firm, FaZe, directly, claiming that, among other things, they take 80% of the sponsorship deals that they bring him, and just some other stuff. But basically, that they have a pretty shitty relationship with him. And there's questions around, basically, in the state of California, you need to be a licensed agency to represent people in certain ways, which may or may not be the way in which Tfue and other esports pros and other personalities in the space are represented. So there's a question of, okay, well, if you don't have the license, are you breaking California law around this stuff? It's pretty complicated. I'm not a lawyer. You can go read the article and sort of see what side that side alleges. I think the org also has said certain things. quite frankly, probably without consulting legal counsel beforehand, given how loud some of those things have been. But it's an interesting conversation. I think I get why people are afraid to comment on it publicly, but I think it is not just a private matter. I think it's the type of thing where there could be legal precedent that is set that could have fallout across the industry. So only time will tell. Maybe this thing gets wrapped up behind the scenes pretty soon, which I wouldn't be surprised if it does. But it'll just be interesting to track who comments on it and who doesn't. Nate Shot tweeted earlier. I'm going to read Nate Shot's tweet actually, because he took it down. But Nate Shot tweeted earlier. Oh wait, can I not find it now? I can't find
I
it.
think a
now.
lot of them are getting deleted.
He deleted it, but I have a link to the reply
The
from
Wayback Machine.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever.
It's all over Slasher's feed too.
Nate Shot now deleted it and put up a different thing, but yeah, you can go look at Slasher's Twitter account. He's been talking a lot about this. He might have like the original tweets from Nate Shot up there. I'm not sure, but anyway. Oh, yes. Oh, Nate Shot said, I hope recent news doesn't affect the broader gaming community's perception of esports teams. There are plenty of organizations in the space whose top priority are their professional players and content creators. To which FaZe Banks, the founder of FaZe, unless I've got that correct, right? Founded and runs it.
I don't know anything about that fucking word.
He replied...
Just read the tweet.
He replied to Nate Shot's tweet, "You're a piece of shit, dude. And when my side of this is heard, you'll see why. Way to fucking jump on the bandwagon and chase the clout. You must me dancing right now. Matt, I'm going to personally make sure you regret tweeting this and adding to this bullshit dumpster fire." So now both of those have been deleted. And Nate Shot tweeted out something about how much he respects FaZe. So I don't know what happened behind the scenes. Maybe he does regret it. But it's great. It's great to see all this.
I don't know. I didn't know this was going on today. I guess I had my head in the sand or something, so I didn't see any of this. So I'm currently on livestream fails, just going through all this stuff. Apparently, FaZe Banks once went to a bar and claimed a bunch of stuff happened to him, and then it didn't happen at all.
Well, and then
you guys know
there's
what
like
I'm
a
talking
clip that I saw of Malexia where he's listening to somebody from, I don't know if it's Banks or somebody from FaZe, where the person's trying to explain situations and in the process mentions presumably, allegedly, underage drinking happening at the FaZe. What I will say is...
It's Banks' video with Keemstar.
Okay, it's Banks' video with Keemstar. What I will say is Nicola Piggott runs an amazing PR agency. And I think, she might be somebody that would be worth hitting up right now if you are working at FaZe. So anyway, Kelby can't talk about it. Apparently, the man has clamped his mouth down.
I don't know anything about it.
Mark doesn't know enough about it, and quite frankly, I don't know enough about it. So I don't know if we'll be able to talk about it too much on the show, unfortunately. But you should
be clear.
Go check it out. Yeah.
To be clear, I'm only unable to talk about it because it's not my department. Relationships with the industry and esports teams is the SVP of esports and partnerships call. So if you are upset about my inability to talk about it, I would tweet at Nick Allen because he's the guy who makes that decision.
Oh, did you delete the tweet you made earlier?
I did delete the tweet that I made earlier.
Okay, so not only is Nate Shot deleting
company.
tweets, we got Kelby deleting tweets. Hang on, let me see if I can find...
It was a good tweet.
The most important thing I learned... Can you link it for me or like retype it?
I can't find it. I'll paraphrase it because I don't know where to find it. But earlier, Kelby tweeted, all these people thought that Danny, referring to Daenerys, was the person who was going to break the wheel, but it turns out it was Tfue all along, or he's actually trying to do it, or something along those lines. Yeah. He since deleted that tweet, Kelby May.
Yeah.
The
most important. I was just making a low hanging fruit joke. Banks, please don't tweet at me. I'm not taking sides here. I deleted the tweet. I regret being involved in anybody else's drama. We don't have the
FaZe
full side
Banks
of the
make you
story.
regret that you ever tweeted that? Is that what happened, Kelby?
I don't want to regret having ever tweeted it, and I don't want him to make me regret it. I've
I'll
never
say two
interacted with
things.
the individual.
I'll say two things. One, I'm glad to hear that Nick Allen is the person I will direct my ire towards, because I just like being able to be mad at Nick Allen. So that's great to hear. And the second thing is I'm on whichever people put out the most recent news. So right now I think the general public is in the fuck FaZe camp. Yeah, put me in there. Put me in there for now.
So
and then
Shinobi Michael wrote in all capitals in our Twitch chat, "Who the fuck cares about the underage drinking? Everyone and their mom does that before 21." Well, the federal government does, and federally and maybe state-appointed judges might as well. So if there's a lawsuit, that's somebody. So you, Shinobi Michael, and you, LOL Scamler One, who are in Twitch chat, and you, Iridento, who you say no one cares. A lot of you guys might not care, but there are some people who do.
Yeah.
And they have the ability to really mess things up for people. So that's why it's an interesting situation.
Yeah. The employer-employee relationship makes things more complicated.
So
legally.
finally, just wrapping this up, because people are asking us to wrap it up. The big thing is, yes, I know a lot of people are saying, "Yo, this is just FaZe stuff, whatever, who cares?" The heart of this conversation is about what the relationship between an organization and the people that they represent or employ or whatever, what that relationship is. And guess what? That's everyone in esports that's with an organization. So the conversations that are going to be had here are about, legally speaking, are about what is the relationship between a pro player or a content creator or somebody represented by the team and the team. So I get you don't care. Maybe we'll talk more about it later on whenever stuff comes out. But
yeah, I mean,
probably not.
No player has ever taken their org and sued them before. This is the potential first time for legal precedent to be set against esports players and their employment contracts in this space. Which
Kelby's talking about it right now. Somebody hit Nick Allen. Tell him Kelby Ray's a leaky faucet. He can't keep himself quiet.
Nick Allen. Papa Nick.
Delete it. I mean, that's not me. Fuck. I'm just not talking.
All right, Mark, you want to explain how the show works, and maybe get back into the camera?
No, I think this is a good shot. My shoulder's the best part of my body. Okay. If you guys never seen Hotline League before, the way this show works is Travis and I have a Discord, which I'm spamming in Twitch chat right now. You want to go and join up at that Discord. Once you do, you want to join the Pleb Calls or Pleb Calls to voice channels. You can mute your mic once you're in there. And then in the Pleb Topics text channel, go ahead and post whatever it is you want to talk about, and specifically, try and represent your opinion on it. So not just say, I want to talk about the finals. Say, I want to talk about how that was an embarrassment for Team Liquid, and I'm not looking forward to seeing them, or some shit. I don't know, whatever it is. Have that be your topic. If we like it, we'll pull you from the Pleb Calls voice channel down to the waiting room, where you'll hang out until it is your turn to go on, do a quick mic check, and then we'll be good to go.
If you are a sub, by the way, first off, thank you. You're a dying breed. But you could also get access. You could sync your sub or your Twitch with Discord so that you can get access to the sub topics channel and put your topic in there. It moves a little slower there, and so you do have a better chance, perhaps, of making it in, though not a guaranteed chance. So please don't sub just to be able to get on the show, because that's not how it works. But if you have a good topic, good chance we'll pull you in. Mark is pulling some people right now. While he's doing that, I want to read off, speaking of subs, a couple names of some people, some kind-hearted individuals who have sent oftentimes a Twitch Prime sub or something else in. Scoops, yes, it's Rob86, LO Scamler, X Solvark, Will D1 Thrill, Roadrunner X, Detective 9, and Raph. Thank you to all those lovely people. Oh, and one more, Hippie Gangster. Thank you for that. We should be getting our first person in just a second. Mark, you want to go grab them?
No, I think I'll just say forget
Mark is
about
very
it.
obstinate
That's
on
the,
this
the show,
evening.
guys.
Yeah, I don't know why he's feeling so obstinate. He's definitely feeling obstinate.
T, the guy in the waiting room, needs to unmute. I think he was the first guy I pulled.
If you
So
get in the
T, if
waiting
you're
room,
listening,
please unmute. Please unmute.
you fucking clowns.
Okay. Mark's
I don't-
aggressive.
He's deafened. Oh, he's
He
gone.
he just left. He pressed the wrong button.
Mama's Cupcakes, thank you for the 6 months in a row.
God damn it.
New haircut has changed him. Yes, exactly. Mark's riding the high off of this haircut. We gotta figure this out. Kelby.
Yeah, what's up?
How was work today?
Pretty good. I didn't get all accomplished that I wanted to get accomplished. I have a ridiculous number of applicants for the sales associate position that we posted, and I am.
By the way, if you want to work for Kelby, you literally don't need any qualifications for this entry-level job. Where can people find that?
Goodness, I posted about it on Twitter. It's like on the Pop Dog website. I think there's a link to the jobs
Your
page.
first job is to figure out where the application is to work with Kelby.
One sec.
No, it's fine. Don't make them go through the hoops.
No, it's good. It's good. So if you go to Pop Dog, wait, do we have a link here?
Go work with Kelby May.
If you go to popdog.com and then on the bottom right it says we're hiring, and you click that, and then you scroll all the way down to the bottom to the
Is this a Pop
sponsorship
Dog
sales
show now?
associate.
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, we're
I think
we're
we've talked
discussing
more
an
about it
esports job
Then
opportunity.
League of Legends. You know, the job, the show thing
Work with
show's
Kelby.
about.
Wacklow
Only
is
thing
here.
required
Wacklow,
is
where are
a
you calling
college
from?
degree.
I'm calling from beautiful Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville, Florida. Is it beautiful?
It's a city.
Nice.
Spoken with confidence.
It's Florida, so it's a lot of swampland and it's very flat, but the weather's very nice, so.
Nice. Well, hey, what do you want to talk about on the show?
I want to talk about G2 and their prospects for Worlds. I think at MSI, they were definitely, by the end of the tournament, the best team in the tournament, but I think that was pretty dependent on the meta. I think this was a meta that supported flex picks in a way we really haven't seen since, from what I remember, like Season 3 Worlds, at least at, like, international tournaments. And G2 is set up as, like, a team that really excels with flex picks between, like, Wonder and Caps, like, obviously having huge champion pools and being, like, quick to pick up difficult champions, and also Perks, like, being the most versatile bot laner in the world. And I think if the meta shifts to, like, tank top laners, ranged supports like Zyra or Nami or Janna, things that, like, Mickey hasn't played a lot of in his career and aren't as dynamic, or just, like, even more traditional tank junglers, like a lot of Sedge, maybe, like, well, I guess actually never mind, because Yankos is a great tank jungler. But I think if there's, like, even, like, fairly subtle meta shifts, a team like SKT or Kingzone or even Liquid could be really favored and possibly overtake G2 coming into Worlds.
All
You
right.
didn't mention IG. Do you still think that IG is a consideration?
I think IG is similar to G2 in that if the meta shifts to, like, one role being more supportive, I just, like, don't know how it'll shake out. Like, if it becomes a hyper carry bot lane meta, maybe RNG will be the best team in China again. So I think if G2 is, like, a top contender going into Worlds, IG probably will be too. I think they're in the same boat, basically.
So, Mark, how important were flex picks this MSI?
I would say pretty important. I wouldn't argue that this. I mean, this is clearly a more solo lane focused meta. Bot laners are still really important, but you know that you can carry through basically any lane. G2 themselves won with Jace top. They've won with Caps at different times, and then they've also won through their bot lane. So like you can carry through all three, and the solo lanes are important. So I think a meta shift would hurt them, but I have a really well. I guess the premise of the call was to say that you don't think G2 should be favorites heading into Worlds, but it sounds like the main argument for that is a speculative meta change. But we don't know
I
that.
think it's.
But we haven't heard anything from Riot saying like, yeah, we don't like the meta, so we're gonna change it. We haven't heard anything like that, right? So like that feels like a really brute force opinion.
Let me remix it into, was with the meta being so heavily into flex picking or flex picks, is that what allowed G2 to really shine here? Was that what gave them the edge
Over the other regions?
teams?
No, not really. I mean, like some regions have better suited metas, right? Like I think to his point, RNG and Team Liquid would probably benefit from a more stable top lane meta and all that stuff. But like Impact was great this tournament. So even if like you can say he's better on tanks and stuff like that, like I don't know, Double F got absolutely blasted in the series against G2. Like that's still a problem. They still have more creative drafts. Like even if you go into some like weird tank meta, that doesn't mean that G2 is suddenly going to lose their brains about how to be creative. So like, yeah, the meta can change and it could be bad for G2, worse than it is for Team Liquid. But I have a hard time making that the main argument for why you would think G2 shouldn't be a favorite going to Worlds is a speculative meta change.
Well, sure, it's speculative. The meta could be like basically the same. But I guess I have two reactions to that. One is I think Riot, sure, there's no like big mid-season shakeup this year like there has been in the past, but I think they're trying to nudge the meta in like a slightly less solo, like carry from solo lane oriented direction. Like they're giving Maokai buffs here and there. They're giving Trundle buffs, who's not like a tank top laner, but I think they're like giving little nudges, and also just like in the history of the game, sorry, uh, it's never been like a super consistent meta over the season. Or if there has been, it's been when Riot like really fucked it up. Like they love mixing it up.
So
Like
you're
going
just saying
from
like they are all stars in this meta, but there is a very good chance, given historical precedent, that the meta will shift perhaps dramatically before Worlds hits, and that would perhaps inhibit their success.
Yeah, I think it's likely that the meta just won't suit them. Just because we're in such a unique meta right now, and the meta's always shifting towards something else.
Maybe. I have a hard time agreeing with that though, considering that all messaging that they had prior to this meta was talking about getting the game into a state like this meta, and all reactions to this meta have been positive for the most part. Like I think junglers have complained about some of the specifics of their role. Some people have complained about top lane range champions being super prevalent or something like that, but people really like this meta. They like that the game ends at 30 to 35 minutes and doesn't go to 50 minutes after team fight after team fight. They like that solo laners can carry, and it's not about playing around your bot lane. Like, I think I haven't heard anything in terms of fan sentiment being an overwhelming opinion that they don't like the meta or player sentiment, even pro player sentiment. So like, I have a hard time thinking that Riot is motivated to change things up quite like they are when it's like, oh god, it's ardent sensor meta and everyone wants to blow their brains out because this is the only way to play the game.
Let's say if they do, though, we'll wrap up the conversation on this. If they do you think G2 will be perhaps less favored?
Sure. I mean, I think there's a whole argument. Like, the reason I have an issue with this call is there's a huge discussion to be had about whether or not G2 should be favorites. How good is IG? What about SKT? And, like, I don't know why you would make this about meta when there's so much larger of a discussion to have. Like, maybe G2 shouldn't be the favorites going into Worlds, but I would not start that conversation with meta. I wouldn't end that conversation with meta.
Well, why shouldn't, given everything we just saw from MSI, why shouldn't G2 be favored? I mean, they just won MSI, right? A lot of people will think, hey, these guys could win Worlds now.
I think if you look at how close their series was versus SKT, I think that they were one bad Baron away from not making it. I think that was the finals, and G2 was better for that day. But I think a Korean fan, if they wanted to be obstinate, could make a good case that, like, hey, that was super close, and SKT threw that series. I could buy that argument. I think you could say IG is a better version of G2. They demonstrated that all group stage, and they laid a turd versus Team Liquid, but they're still the better team. Like, there are other arguments to be had.
Do you feel like IG just played really bad against Team Liquid, or that Team Liquid played really well?
I think both can be true. I think if you're
Yeah.
if so, like, I think I talked about this a little bit on Listen Loco, but like, one, Ning played like doo-doo, and he's usually one of the most aggressive people on his team. And I think Loco said the stat that he had like 12 total kill participations pre 15 minutes or something, which is super low for him. Their solo laners didn't generate leads the way that they typically do. They played safer than I've ever seen. I don't know how the fuck you get a double kill on a Nico top against a flashless opponent, and you have red buff, and that doesn't turn into like a super big lead. They didn't go top anymore. I don't think they played very well, and I think Team Liquid played great at the same time. And I'm sure we'll have more calls about this, but like, I wouldn't look at that single series and the whole history of success that IG has had, and then seeing Team Liquid get blasted by G2 and say like, yeah, IG just wasn't that good. I'd say if I was a betting man, I would bet they had a bad day. You know?
Well, yeah, and I don't think that IG. Just because like Team Liquid got blasted by G2, it means that IG is bad. I just felt like TL and IG, if anything, what has been signaled to me by MSI and by Worlds, when Worlds came along and 3 out of the 4 teams ended up being international teams, I was like, maybe like the teams deserve to get there, but maybe the results from this event are a one-off and it wouldn't reoccur, right? But the fact that Caps has been in 2 international finals in a row, and that TL and G2 both ended up in the final of this event, beating very, very strong teams along the way. And like, while G2 certainly, and you and Loka would be able to analyze this much better, didn't play up to their standard, I didn't feel like in watching the game that they were just playing bad. I just felt like TL played exceptionally well. And then when TL got to the final against G2, that is the turd that we saw, that they just played really uncharacteristically poorly. But I think that all 4 of those teams are probably really strong favorites to continue to perform throughout the rest of the year.
I absolutely agree. I think if European fans want to say we should be the favorite going in, you talk about, like you said, 2 finals in a row. You talk about how Korea has not won a best of 5 since MSI's
last year.
Semifinals of MSI last year. They haven't won a best of 5 in international play. Like, there's a good, like, my whole point with this was there's a good conversation to be had using all these other factors than meta.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, thanks so much, Waklo, for calling in. Any final thoughts or anything you want to say?
Yeah, quick before I go, I just want to say the meta's always in flux. Like, it might be broadly the same meta, but even now, Akali's worse than she was at MSI. Silas is worse than he was at MSI. Aftershock is worse for AP builders, so I think it's going to change. But I take your point. There's a million factors besides meta.
Yeah, I mean, okay, those get nerfed. Kennan's still strong. Nico's still strong. Vlad's still strong. Who knows? Hey,
thanks so much, Waklo, for calling in.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thanks, man.
Okay, on to the next caller.
Mark, didn't this guy in his thing that he sent you, did he say meta or not? Because you seem to go really hard on him for the meta, but it seemed like you picked his question for him to talk about.
I don't remember.
The issue I have with this call, and I don't know why this caller's here.
I remember what I said was like G2. I don't remember I remember it being G2 should not be the favorites going into Worlds, and I thought there was gonna be more meat on that bone.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It was just great because from my perspective, I was like, man, Mark clicked this guy. He's like, all right, here's an argument I can fucking destroy.
No, I wasn't. I don't remember what he said about the details of it. I was just like, oh, this will be a good topic to rile up some G2 fans, and like rather than just being like Caps is overrated or like any of the other like, I don't know, points I thought would rile people up, but
look, it's not a crazy. First off, one, I think the caller called in. It's not like he called in and was like, well, I think G2's gonna not do well because Perks, his haircut is funny. He called in
really
with like, look, the meta might shift away from them, and like they do considerably well in this meta. That's not like a crazy take.
Yeah, and I responded to that normally for the first couple minutes.
You responded to in kind with your new haircut. I would say.
Exactly.
The first time I was like, yeah, who knows? I agree. The meta could change, and like, this is definitely a good meta for G2. It's like, what more is there to that conversation at that point?
Yeah.
I don't know what you say after that.
Let's just hope the next caller has an opinion that Mark agrees on.
Well, I'll kill you.
In League of Legends.
Okay, now that Mark's out of the channel, last caller, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. He's not normally like this. You know, he's. I wouldn't say he's ever nice or kind. I would never say that about Mark, but I wouldn't say he was whatever that was. All right, I'm gonna. Hey, Mark, so happy to see you back.
Mark, welcome to have you back.
Yeah, you're looking great today. T, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from San Diego.
San Diego, great. Do you have an opinion that agrees with Mark?
I don't know.
Okay, well,
You better.
just get ready.
Yeah. So I guess I might get flamed for this, but I feel like NA as like a whole region is better than EU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
look, I
this
just
is
Keep
Let
going.
down the hatches.
I like this caller. This is a good caller.
I like this color too, but I can already see Mark's
All
eyes
right.
filling with rage.
all right. So I'm going to agree with this. G2 is the best team in the West. Like
Yeah.
I agree with that. But I feel like as a whole collective region, like I feel like G2 just carries that entire region. And I feel like
Yeah.
EU as a whole entire region is a lot more significantly weaker than NA.
We
So
should have
what
had
was
you called in right before Rift Rivals, because this is a Rift Rivals take.
What was
Yeah,
what was the result of G2's final?
3-0.
3-0. But it was 4 minutes slower than TL's loss in the international stage.
Yeah,
So they
I'm
really-
gonna say I'm gonna say this. Sorry.
you're
I
fine.
think G2 as a team they're really good. It's just I feel like teams like Origin, Fnatic are not as good as like the top 3 in NA.
I mean, so here's my thoughts on what the caller said. Is that I think that TL and G2 are actually probably a lot closer than what their series showed, because TL clearly just like had
Yeah,
a
the
completely
TL we
off
saw
series to
on
not
that
play.
day was not the TL we had seen like the day before, or in
No.
their second game against G2. It was just weird.
Not at all. But in North America, I think that at the end of the split, TL, TSM, and C9 were all very, very close to each other.
Yes, I agree with that.
And that any one of those teams reasonably probably could have won the split. And also, you have to remember that Europe in general, like as a whole, is kind of just sucky. Like, not in regards to League of Legends necessarily, but it probably bleeds into League of Legends. Like, America's just a better place. So that has to weigh into your decision as well. I didn't get the response that I was looking for there, but I was just making a stupid joke apparently. But yeah, no, seriously, I could buy that argument that NA as a whole is strong. When does Rift Rivals happen again?
End of
It's
June.
like the fourth week or something.
Okay, I mean we'll see then, right?
For the most part, but it also depends. If you're talking about the region as a whole, we need a 10v10 tournament.
Oh,
Yeah, but I do think. But T, would you say the top 3 North America are better than the top 3 Europe?
Yeah, I feel like G2 and Fnatic might be up there with I feel like Fnatic would be up there with the top 3, but I feel like whatever the third team is, I'll say Origin. I don't think Origin is as strong as TSM or C9. Or I know Origin got second, but I feel like Fnatic did. I feel like in general Fnatic is a stronger team than Origin.
It's hard for me to say. Like, I think in terms of like, oh, Europe put all their best players on one team. Like, Europe always finds more players, and in terms of like, yeah, that best of 5 was not close. TL probably did underperform a little bit, given that we just saw them beat IG 2 days before. It does make you want to say that, but then what about TSM and C9? Like, they're not necessarily on the same level TL is. Like, TL should be better than them. So I don't know. I'm not convinced that TL is substantially better than Origin. Like, substantially better, I mean. And then that would mean that the others are better too. Like, I think most likely TSM and C9 are pretty close to Origin and Fnatic level. with TL probably being a little bit better. Does that make our region stronger as a whole? I don't know.
What about outside the top three? Because I feel like I don't know. I feel like EU in general is a little bit on the top heavy side. While
I'm
I
gonna
feel like
say
NA
I
is a
have
little bit
no
more.
idea about the bottom 7 your LEC teams. Like, and I don't, Mark. Do you know? Do you follow like what is the 8th best LEC team, and how does it compare to the 8th best LCS team?
Historically, pretty poorly. Like they almost always have some like dumpster ass 2 in a billion team, and it was true again. They had Rogue this split, who was just like, is this a 9-team league, and everyone just shows up and gets a free win on this day, like, you know, like a bye week? I don't know. And they always have a team like that. Sometimes they have 2 or 3 even. You know, like Excel was pretty shit. So like in that regard, I would almost always favor historically and this season as well the bottom of NA. Like 100 Thieves, say what you will about them, they still had talent on that roster. You know, I don't know how true that is for some of these years.
So if we brought all of our people and they brought all their people, we would smash them.
I don't know. I think the bottom would smash. I think the top would probably lose to Europe in the middle. I don't know.
So
Thank
are
God
you
for
predicting
Rift
us to
Rivals.
lose Rift Rivals?
I think it's close. I think it's really, really close because, like I said, I think TL is probably a little bit better than the other top teams in Europe. And then for C9 and TSM, I don't know if they're actually better than Origin or Fnatic.
Yeah. I mean,
People are saying Huhi as talent. I said there's some talent, not all talent.
no. They will
would
always
take-
find the one thing. They're like, you could be like,
Talking about someday and bang, you buffoons.
you could be like, it's really sunny in LA during the summer, and they're like, really? Because on June 30th in 1976, it rained for 45 minutes. Was it really sunny, Mark? Huh? Why are you so
Oh, don't-
omega lol?
The other classic. Those guys aren't from NA. It's like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I thought for sure Bang was American.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that there was these rules that allowed you to import players and that their team is not suddenly, I don't know.
One of the hallmarks of America is that it's a melting pot.
Yep.
You
One of
know,
the things we do well.
And pot is legal.
That's the other
Depending
thing we
where
do
you're
well.
Do you have any thoughts, T?
Not really. No.
Well, thank you so much.
Sorry, I'm.
for
I'm
whatever
kind of a
reason, when you
little-
said that, I
yeah.
thought that was more of like a general question, like
Well,
not
yeah, no,
not necessarily
I-
related to this topic.
Yeah.
I think I agree with what a lot of people say that like NA as an entire region is probably stronger. I'm not sure I agree that the remaining teams, like the top 3 from each region, is in NA's favor. I'm not convinced of that.
Okay.
It could be true.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm just really excited for this Worlds because like what happened last Worlds and then this MSI. I feel like this Worlds is gonna be very fun to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, this
100%.
we're in the best timeline right now. Like
Yep.
NA beat
Yeah,
the best team
I
in the
agree.
world, even if they got slammed in the finals. Like they still beat the best team in the world
No, like
for
this
a
is.
tournament.
I did this video that I put out right before the finals, and then of course everyone memed it after the finals. But I still stand by what I said, which is like, it's people somehow forget that up until 6 months ago, it was a joke the idea that North America could ever perform on an international stage.
Yep.
You know, and now, and not only that, but also that Korea and maybe sometimes China were the only ones that could ever win anything. And Worlds blew that thing open, and then MSI continued the narrative. So I don't think we should throw anything out, especially from the 4 main regions. Now, of course, Europeans will not want to hear that, but it's just like we should not have necessarily huge expectations around what's going to happen at Worlds, because I think what is clear is that the gap is closed.
Yeah, the
Well, I
biggest
got a
concern
caller
in
for
all
the
of-
gap is closed. Careful.
Okay. Never
What
mind.
were you going to say?
So, were
Colin?
you gonna follow up on that? Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
yeah.
We'll get to the close gap later, maybe.
T, thank you so much for calling in.
All right, thank you for having me.
Yeah, how are we going?
Thanks, T.
All right, we'll take a quick break right now to talk a little bit about Alienware. That's right, they're our sponsor for the show. They're a sponsor for so many things, and you know what? A lot of people have been saying. Thanks, Mark. Still out of focus.
That in focus. There you go.
Yeah, and if you could also, can you cover the logo of the other brand, like, because there's a logo and a brand name right behind. Yes, thank you. Okay, well now you're there. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, almost there.
Perfect. Now tilt your head to the side. Just a little. Oh.
I really wonder sometimes.
Yoni puts this in the monthly reporting.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the
believe.
Alienware marketing team. Okay, let's see how, because we never consult with them before we do these ads. All right. Same thing at MSI. Like I'm on some pirate ship and we're talking about how we're on some adventure to find it. We never talked to them. We don't. There's not a creative meeting that happens beforehand where we're like, hey, we're thinking this is how we're gonna push Alienware as the brand this time.
And that's why they're such great sponsors.
And then I worry. I'm like, one of these days they're gonna hit us up and they're gonna be like, could you hone it in a little bit? Could you make these reads a little more, traditional?
I'm connecting to the audience. I know my audience.
That's what Mark will say in response to them too. I'll be like, okay, hang on, let me call up Mark, and he'll just say that over the phone. No, I'm just kidding.
I am Gen Z. I get it. Okay.
I don't think you're Gen Z. I think you're a millennial.
Shut the
How old
fuck
are
up.
you, Mark?
I'm almost 30.
Yeah, you're. I think
I'm
you're
27,
millennial,
28 in a month.
Anyway,
dude. Millennial like me.
where was I? Oh yeah, Alienware. So for a while we were saying Dell.com/Travis. Now I'm going to give you Alienware.com/Travis. This new link that we've got. I mean, the Dell one works too, but now we're official. Alienware.com/Travis. And a lot of actually, let's just put it this way. Basically all of you. I have people on the streets coming up to me and saying, Travis, can we get a promo code? We got a discount code. All right. We know there's the link, but can we Travis 10 off? All right. You're going to see one on the LCS broadcast. Oh, don't use that. All right. You want that credit going to the Fat Cat Riot Games? Come on. Travis 10 off. Grassroots Esports. This is what Esports is meant to be. Travis 10 off. Use it on their website. You're going to get 10% off. And by the way, that stacks. All right. That stacks. So I don't know if it stacks with everything, but I know some people, they go there and there's already marked down. You throw that on there, you're like, damn, this is a deal. This is a deal right here.
Am I supposed to care as someone who works both the Riot broadcast, which is sponsored by Alienware, and this show, which is sponsored by Alienware? Should I have a preference, Travis?
Well, I mean, you have more creative freedom on this show than you have there.
I guarantee you. Actually, never mind. I'm not gonna say anything.
Go ahead. No, say it, Kelby.
I was gonna. Oh man, no.
You're already
Just
getting
say it.
fired from your comments
You're
earlier.
on
so
this
you may as well
show.
just say it.
You rep me. Do you write
I was
LCS?
gonna say I think it's much more impactful if you use Travis's code for his relationship than using the LCS code for their relationship.
There you go. All right, that's
There
true.
are different kinds of buys. If I had to guess.
Travis 10 off. By the way, that's the number 10. I don't know if TEN works, but the number 10 I believe works. Travis 10 off. You get 10% off their stuff. They got great things. The Area 51M. You see that ad? By the way, that ad is brilliant. The one on the MSI broadcast and the LCS broadcast. You see the Alienware training facility. You see Double Lift. All right. You could play like Double Lift on a good day, on his good day. All right, not like on the MSI finals day. All right, we don't know. He might have been using some
Lose
gear.
the
We don't
fastest international best of 5 in style, like Double Lift with Alienware.
You're getting the IG Double Lift. All right, not the. This ad's gone on long enough. Thank you so much, Alienware, for sponsoring the show. Really appreciate it. Alienware.com/Travis. Travis 10 off. Please remember that. Tell your family. Tell your friends. Tell strangers on the street. Travis 10 off. Alienware.com/Travis. All right, on to the next caller.
If I could throw in an anecdotal case for Alienware, one of our influencers that we work with, Dr. Lupo, he went out and purchased one of these Alienware 51M laptops because he wanted something that was powerful enough to stream on the road. That was his individual purchase of choice.
There you go. And it's true, by the way. Area 51M is sick. People are saying it's giving a security warning, but when I go to alienware.com/Travis, it works. So I don't know what.
That's because the technology in these machines are essentially government classified.
Okay.
So that's the grade.
Yeah.
Good save.
All right. Let's move on to the next caller. Chip Wheel, thank you for the 3 months. Kiwi Mullet Boy for 18. Mama's Cupcakes. Albright Chia Hack. Rayma 39 for 11 months. Sorry if I'm late, but do you have any thoughts on the TFU situation? Sorry, if we talk about it, Twitch chat's gonna get angry. We did talk about it earlier. Oberlist for 3 months and Jubes for 11 months. He says, I believe in TL. Well, I'm sorry, buddy, you got something to read up on. It's called a MSI Finals. All right. Wafflefoot is here. Wafflefoot, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the great state of Dallas, Texas.
Wait. You know, Texas
Dallas
is just a state. Dallas is not.
Yes, I know.
The great city of Dallas.
It's how I called in the first time that I called, which was like a year and a half ago at this point. So
I don't recall that.
it's been a long time.
After a week has passed, I purge everything from my mind.
Exactly. We've slept since then.
Yeah. Anyway, what do you want to talk about, Wafflefoot?
Well, the first thing I want to talk about is, how much extra content Travis gets to do if you subscribe to his channel right now or use your Twitch Prime free sub for the month.
Thank you.
So that's always the first thing. But the actual topic I want to talk about is with all the shakeup in the LCS with teams, the rumors of, or not the rumors, but the potential for Immortals to buy out Infinite/Optic, Dignitas buying a majority share of Clutch Gaming, and from my own experience with working directly with companies like Infinite Esports, the hot take is that I think most esports brands don't understand how to run a business, and more specifically, don't understand how to run a business that is naturally non-profitable in traditional means.
I'm gonna throw this to Kelby. Kelby.
Wow, are you trying? Why is everyone trying to get inspired tonight, dude? When you
This
say
felt like a
don't know
good
how to,
business one.
I would like you to expand on your comment of not understanding how to run a non-profit or a business that's not profitable in a traditional sense.
By the way, you got somebody to send me 10 subs, so thank you to that, and also thanks to Posnot for the 10 subs.
Well, there we go. I'm cool with that. So from my own personal experience, I work directly with Infinite Esports, specifically their marketing arm, Engage Esports. And I got a firsthand inside look at how they were trying to run, what they were compared to what they were talking about and planning for and expecting to do. And I got to see kind of it all pan out from firsthand experience. But when I say comparing or running a business on a traditional or making money in a traditional sense, there's not a retail face where they make profit directly interfacing with their customers. For the most part, they have merch, but for people to be excited about the merch, the team has to usually be successful and build their fan base. So it's not just opening up a new store and slowly building customers over time. It's several $1 million investment up front, still having to do that, and then not really understanding how to do it. And then as a result, they're just starting to hemorrhage money because it's not coming back in a meaningful way.
And we should say Infinite Esports is and was, I guess, I don't know, the parent company of Optic.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
All right, good. Thank you very much.
Kelby?
Am I supposed to react to this?
Yes.
This is your expertise, man.
I love having you on Hotline League, and I know that it's us asking you to come on the show. But if Mark brings the analysis, I hope that you could help bring light on the business side. And if anybody brings up a business thing and you're like, oh, I refer you to Nicholas Allen, Pop Dog's SVP of whatever the fuck Nick does, then, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. So this is a topic very near and dear to my heart.
Nick in chat, by the way. He says Wonka S.
Wait, is Nick really in chat?
Yeah.
So let me answer this in a way that will satisfy Nick and make him happy. So I'm sorry, what was your name again, caller?
Wafflefoot.
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 Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. I mean, you're absolutely right. I think that a lot of organizations, and we are now seeing effects, as you noted, are having a difficult time running a business, making it sustainable in the economic models that they've put themselves into. I think that one of the reasons that I joined this organization is because we have a lot of thoughts about how to help make the business more sustainable, understandable from a buyer's perspective, that being brands or different companies looking to invest and receive value from the space. I think that what's really interesting is that a lot of the inventory that teams sell to sponsors or that leagues sell on broadcast is not universally understood or has a consensus value attached to it. So much of what you see from streamers or leagues or teams on a tournament broadcast or on an individual player's broadcast is like that logo bumper, right? That goes on that goes in the corner and then rotates through different
And
brands.
can I pause really quickly to provide context around what Kelby's saying? Because I know a lot of you guys might be lost in it. But a simple way to think about this is if you want to go buy a 30-second ad spot on television, everyone knows what that is. There's like a standard rate. You figure that out. It's really standard. Everybody has a general agreement on what that is. If you want to go buy a 30-second pre-roll on Twitch, there's a range, or you negotiate, but it's still people know what it is that you're getting. Esports is like, okay, there's a logo on a jersey. What's that worth?
Yep.
And what's it worth like if it's on League of Legends versus an Overwatch broadcast? And what's like that's the type of stuff Kelby's talking about.
Yep, exactly. And then, all that inventory varies obviously based on the team, and like some streamers do their logos small and they have them up persistently, or some people they only come up. And what is that really worth? And also the inventory that is, like providing a sponsorship package across a team or across an individual broadcaster across the space is not uniform. It's often very custom. There's not like any sort of real agreed upon value associated with this, and it makes it very, very difficult for everybody in the space to kind of convince brands to come in. They understand, like, there's a lot of people interested in the space because esports is such a big buzzword now, and everybody understands, I think, that gaming is the future and that people our generation and younger are looking at it. There's not a lot of education or general consensus amongst advertisers or the industry itself in terms of what the value is. And you will see if you get a sponsorship pitch from Loaded, if you get a sponsorship pitch from C9 or TSM or whoever, it will probably look very different, and you may see like similar impressions numbers that are priced differently. Like there's not consensus. So all of that to say that in this area, in this like era, I say where like the industry is still growing, learning, it's definitely been difficult for some people to kind of find the perspective value that they maybe sold their VC on, and kind of like achieving maybe revenue models that they projected. If I had to
Kelby, we were talking about esports businesses and how much these guys know how to run a successful business, and maybe which teams are struggling. Just a general question for you. Do you feel as though teams and orgs right now are optimizing for sustainable businesses or for valuation increases?
Stop, Travis. You are asking me such a loaded question.
Well, you work
no
at
pun
Loaded.
Intended. I said no pun intended. I'm not going to answer that question because I don't work for those organizations, so it's difficult for me to say how they are framing their businesses and what their objectives are and how they're structuring them, or what they're raising at and how they get to those valuations and their raises. Who is to say?
Nick's spitting a mock ass in the chat right now, but
I'm not in those pitches or meetings. But I will say that anyways, and this is a bit of a hashtag ad or plug, but one of the things that we're focused on in PopDog is creating tools and kind of helping standardize this inventory across the space to the degree that we are able to, so that the whole industry, I think, as we find uniformity and consensus around what our value is, and then go out to the broader space with like, you know, that pitch, it makes it a lot easier for people to be like, oh, okay, I kind of get this now. This is how I engage with this space. This is what it costs, and this is how I measure the return I'm getting on my investment, right? I mean, it's just new, especially from the commercial perspective, and I think it's going to take time for teams to hit. Like the way that teams monetize now is not the way that I think that they will monetize in the future. And we've talked about this before, but like traditional sports organizations aren't like selling sponsorships against their individual players. They're getting it from merchandising, broadcast rights, and ticketing revenue. I think the teams will do a better job of creating value packages to monetize directly from their audience. They will get broadcast deals, and as like, you know, we are the oldest generation, and like these brand names are more ingrained with the community and culture, merchandising sales will scale accordingly as well. And then you'll probably see like a model where, you know, individual players and influencers own their own sponsorship rights, and it's very akin to traditional sports, would be my guess. Did I answer your original question or not really?
Wafflefoot.
Myself or Travis? Who?
You.
Wafflefoot.
Me? Yeah, no, I mean, I pretty much agree with you in every respect. I think that what we are looking at revenue models as far as esports businesses go, it currently is definitely not where it's going to be, probably even in 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Now that all these leagues are franchising, and the companies that are prepared to, or better prepared, I should say, to be able to take that start from the ground up approach and be a little bit more tactical and smart about it. I think that in that ecosystem, things will grow a bit better and they will stabilize and succeed more.
Yeah. And I mean, there's gonna be some people that fail along the way, as there is with like every new industry, like the fucking .com bubble that happened. You know, I think what's really, really most important, and when I was looking to enter back into the space in leaving Twitch and evaluating like my options of working for an esports team or doing influencer stuff, is just setting expectations appropriately with the people that are funding you. No esports team is making money. They're all running at a loss, and that's fine. As you noted, it's just what are the expectations that you've set with the people that are funding you, and obviously making sure that those are aligned. You don't want to run into a scenario where you make over aggressive revenue projections, and you know, like, how long does it take for us to break even? How long does it take for us to become profitable? And then have a hard conversation, you know, when you're however long down the road and you're still losing multiple 7 figures a year in net. That's a rough conversation to have at that point. So
yeah, exactly. So you know, here's to hoping that the future is a little bit better for us, and that we have fewer instances like Infinite Esports, and more like the more established orgs, or even 100 Thieves, since they hit the ground absolutely running. They're probably closer to one of those, or one of the more profitable teams. Maybe not necessarily making money still, but you know, getting closer to that break-even point at least.
Mark, what's your take?
I think we're all just stealing money from people outside the know until it all comes crashing down.
well, Mark, you can't know that for sure.
Call me.
It was just my take. Just my take. No, I don't know. What do you want me to say? I'm an idiot. I think to what you guys said before, a lot of it's about expectation setting, and like, do you think you're trying to make money right now, or do you think this is going to continue to grow and you're going to have a big chunk of a hopefully bigger pie soon? I don't know.
All I can say is there are very, very, very few profitable esports businesses, and Travis Gafford Industries is one of them. So I'm one of the few winners in the space. All right.
Those are the only winners, the individuals. Right now, those are the only people winning.
Actually, that's a really true statement.
Well,
team owners.
That's not quite true.
There are team owners who I think are making millions by taking money off the table when they do raises.
Well, that's a lot of speculation you're throwing out there, Travis. Unless you're a team owner and you have, and you know their cap tables and what they've been able to take off in rounds, I would say that's where you get into dangerous territory making these speculations, which I would never make. Thank you, Nick. I'm not saying that.
Hey, Kelby, hypothetically, would you rather be me or Steve Aronset? Hypothetically.
Well, I mean,
throwing out the fact that he's a better-looking guy and nicer and all that stuff and has his life together, like just on a monetary perspective for our futures, who would you rather be?
And do keep in mind, Mark has his.
Regardless of Steve's ownership, I like.
This is the last time Kelby's gonna come on the show. He's gonna come.
This is definitely the last time I'm ever.
No, Kelby, don't. We're just messing with you. You're fine.
You've done great navigating this, Kelby.
Have I? I mean, we're gonna see when I am in the office tomorrow with Nick Allen and what he says to me.
Listen. Nick is drunk right now. You think he's aware of anything that's being said on the show?
I think Nick Allen's just typing Monka S at random points.
Yes, he is. Yes, exactly.
I don't think it's all he said.
Yeah. Wafflefoot, anything you want to say on the way out?
Thanks for having me on. Great conversation as always. Look forward to future content. Keep up the good work.
Thanks. Have a good one. All right. Moving on to the next caller. We got 4 callers to go in about 40 minutes. So.
I just want to apologize. I know I did a very poor job explaining a lot of those things. It's
it's a complex conversation.
Yeah.
Quick shout-outs to Pilgrim Panda, Sergeant Garrett, DJ Conduct, Posnot, who gifted 10 subs. Thank you, Posnot. Love it when people do that. RebelCon for 16 months, NA Alistar for 4, Knight of Zero 1802, and Boba Cola gifted a sub to Nick Allen and Matei. A couple more to go, but we'll shout this out in a second. Red Prius is here. You've been on the show before, I believe, right?
I was the guy last week who told you way too much about where I'm.
Way too much what?
Way too much about where I'm calling from. I said I'm from Miami, but I'm calling from DC.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, welcome back to the show. Thank you for being a Twitch sub. What do you got for us this week?
So after the results of MSI, I think there's been a bit of debate about whether or not North America and Europe have actually equalized or even transcended Korea, Taiwan, China as regions. Like that they are, like someone caller already called about how he thinks that NA is actually better than EU. That kind of debate. And my argument is that they are. I don't know if they're better, but they've not only is the gap closed, but I think that EU as a region is probably the best region in total. And I mean, well, I'm not going to.
When you say in total, do you mean like that implies that their 10 teams could maybe like their league is stronger overall?
I don't want to imply that. I want to imply that on the average, not that if you were in a 10-team. I'll qualify my statement in that I think that the reason I say this is not because I'm not thinking of results. I'm saying I think that Europe is playing the best League of Legends. Now, if they were to compete against another region, the results might not be a win because the highest potential for winning does not always result in the win. That's because like someone who plays a Shaco one trick can hit Challenger, and they're not playing optimal League of Legends. But a professional player might not get as high on the rank ladder as that Shaco one trick, but they're objectively a better player. Do you see what I'm saying?
Are you saying that strategically and from an understanding of the game, you think that Europe as a region is like most on top of it right now? Is that what you're trying to say?
I do think that.
Okay, gotcha. Like how Korea kind of used to dictate the meta in years past.
Exactly.
I'm going to echo what Mark said earlier, which is like they barely beat SKT, and so it's like really hard. Like they were able to swing it in a best of 5 and a best of 10. Would the same thing happen?
But maybe the caller is saying that perhaps SKT, and sorry to interrupt, Travis, maybe the caller is saying that perhaps if SKT had the same understanding of the game that Europe does right now, they would have won convincingly because they have more individually skilled players. And I don't know if I'm putting words in your mouth or not.
Well, let me. I actually kind of delved away from what I wanted to say, which is that the real argument I have is that G2, even though they are much, much better than any other team in Europe, was created as a result of playing in Europe, right? These regions are isolated. They don't practice together. Maybe we don't know. Maybe they talk to each other a little bit about strategy, but it's unlikely. And they're created in isolation, not just in creating the players, but in developing the teams into a cohesive product. And even if they're drastically better than everyone else, their improvements and the way they decide to play is a result of the way they reacted to other teams. They're not just playing the same way every game and they're just crushing the opponents. The give and take of the games is what tells them what they're doing right or wrong. And in terms of like the SKT series, I think that most people can write off the losses they did have from really questionable drafts, like the Azir pick. Like, why that matchup just made no sense. But forgetting that, I'm just saying Europe and NA and Korea and China all contributed as a region, building IG, SKT, G2, and TL. Those teams didn't just come to be independent of everyone else in the region.
Okay, and we'll throw to Mark.
Sorry, I know I said a lot.
Oh, you're good.
No, I was enjoying listening to that. I think I mean, what's the debate that these guys are going to stay on top, G2, or like the teams that made it are going to stay on top? Or...
I mean, I think the conversation is Europe actually
the best? Well, you kind of hinted at like, are we talking about all of Europe? Are we talking about the top 3 teams of Europe? I doubt the top 3 European teams would make the strong. Like, if you were going to do some kind of like weird, kind of how Rift Rivals does it, like every team must play equal amount of games type thing. I would probably not bet on Europe to win a tournament like that.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, so
but
I think we're on the same page about that. Like, I think China and Korea's top 3 are probably stronger than Europe's top 3, but G2 is head and shoulders, it feels like, better than their second place team. And so if the point is just like, if you took the best team from each region and put them up against each other, Europe's the best. So it's like, well, we just had a tournament that kind of proved that. I would say that with how volatile the current top team is, like, heading into the tournament, IG is, and how volatile Europe is, like, Europe could be the best 40 out of 60, and IG is the best 60 out of 40. Who knows? They're clearly very close. And I think G2 is super, super good. I think they're more creative in some ways, maybe not in game, but out of game. I think the way that the ideas that they come up with and their willingness to try different things speaks to a lot. Like, I don't think people understand how hard it is to be creative in League of Legends. Like, it's not hard to find a single pick and be like, well, this sort of counters that. Pike can sort of counter Jace, but actually executing them and actually having the whole team buy in and having the right group of players to allow people to go out there and fuck up constantly when things don't work out, when they think they have a cool pick, which I'm sure happens constantly with G2 and tanks a lot of their scrims. Having the right combination of talent, creativeness, and like mental fortitude to do what G2 does is absolutely incredible, and I think is a good argument for why you could say that they're the best team in the world. Because it's not just about like, well, you know what, the Shy is probably better than Wunder. I think the Shy is better than Wunder. Well, who gives a shit? I think that G2 plays around Wunder better, right? Like, that could be an argument. It's not about raw skill. So I could totally buy, that G2 is the top team in the world.
Okay, well, Kelby actually brought up something really important that I did not think about. Which ties into my argument, which is that Europe might be playing better League of Legends strategically than Korea or China. Which is that Fnatic, as the third place team, might be playing a style that is objectively better than SKT brings to the table. But what Kelby said, if they had better players like SKT does, they might be able to execute it better in a way that resulted in the same results that G2 is getting.
I think it's a dangerous argument because I feel like you could just start saying that for every region.
Sure.
TL have played a superior strategy. They just couldn't execute on it because we don't have as good of players as Europe. You can always just pick that.
I'm definitely living in a fantasy world where potential to succeed is greater than results, and that's just a way I look at the game. Maybe it's because I play solo queue, but it's just my opinion that if you give them time, like the time between worlds, you can only bet on the potential to succeed based on objective quality, not on like, well, this team stopped their region and we should ignore how they did it. I feel very frequently that statement gets made by analysts. Like, I've heard way too many people say that TL stopped NA. Like people on the analyst desk on Riot broadcasts. I don't. Maybe it's just an idea that the scriptwriters are putting in their heads, but I really just think that. And G2 didn't really stop Europe either. G2 was very competitive, and they stopped playoffs. I think that the way they're playing the game.
G2 shit on Europe, and at the after they basically clinched #1, they started trolling, and then they absolutely crushed them in playoffs when it mattered again. How could you not say G2 crushed Europe?
I don't think they just started trolling argument stands up for any team. I think that makes you a worse team. I think if you have the potential to decide to start trolling, then you are going to lose to better teams. Even
so,
if it's even possible.
IG, the former world champions who have players admitting that sometimes they play happy games, they're not that good of a team because they troll sometimes.
Not that they're not that good of a team, but it's a weakness that can be exploited, and it's the same way that G2 lost games against SKT is they weren't thinking the right way in that game, and as a result, they lost games that made them look less convincing than they should have. But let's assume that potential to play those 4 fun games is deleted. I don't know that we see the same results or even have the same perceptions about the same.
Let me in on a secret.
Well, wrap this up quick because we need to move on to the next caller.
All right. Here's the secret. No one's perfect, so you will have teams that don't take the game seriously enough, and sometimes they troll and they lose games like IG. And guess what? Some teams are too fucking tight. Their butt is puckered way too tightly, and they try hard all the time, and they burn themselves out, and they go crazy, and they're too rigid in their analysis, and then they sit there trying to play the game perfectly, and then a team like G2 comes along and does crazy shit. Like, every team has a flaw. No one is perfect. So this idea that the perfect team is well, you take all the creativity and aggressiveness and talent that IG has and just lop off the problems. That team doesn't exist. Maybe SKT in their absolute prime was that team, but times have changed. It doesn't work anymore. It hasn't worked for Korea for over a year now. Okay. So I think, greatest of all time level, yes, maybe that's true. But most of the time, you're not living in the greatest of all time. Everyone was ready to start talking about IG Dynasty. Well, it's we don't live in that anymore. And that's why what made SKT around 2013, 2015, 2016 so great was that they were kind of like that. But even then, those teams had flaws. They had problems. And right now, that's what SKT is facing is they want to play the game a certain way, and it just doesn't work that way right now.
Thanks so much, Red Priest. Anything you want to say on the way out?
Just as I said last week, you guys are my role models, and I'm really, really thankful for the.
Wait, does that include Kelby? Because he wasn't here last week.
It includes Kelby and Ovly.
Okay. Thanks, dude. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, guy.
On to the next caller.
Yeah, I don't know why I said guy. I'm a fucking idiot.
Alex, 2 chances. Thank you for the prime. You primed earlier because you just liked hearing what Kelby was saying. The real Maliak for 5 months. Hope your party is awesome next week, and thank you. Yes, I'm excited for it. Corey Lulu resub for 18 months. Speaking of somebody who's going to be at my party, I invited Corey Lulu, and he said he's going to come. So Corey Lulu,
really?
Yes, Corey Lulu will be at my birthday party. The Reddit celebrity himself. K-pop or die for 11 months as well. Hi, Jeremy. How are you doing? I hear you're going to be at my party too. Moving on. Got next caller coming up in just a second. Oh, Jeremy says, oh yeah, I forgot about that party. Okay, well, never mind. Maybe he won't be going. Fanrun, you didn't get an invite because I went to your city and you didn't even say hi to me. Stevie's here. Stevie, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York, actually. Long Island.
From New York, Long Island? Okay, your microphone's a little rough, so we're going to try to suffer through it. What do you want to talk about?
I have an opinion, Travis.
I mean, I'm glad because otherwise we wouldn't have.
I believe most people do.
Yeah.
I do. I really do. This is my opinion. Korea, it's obvious that Korea isn't as dominant as they once were, and I truthfully believe they never will be. Because if you look at it, the past two international performances by Korea were just fucking garbage, dude. They were actually just terrible. Like, I feel like they sent the worst three that they ever sent in 2018 Worlds, and for MSI they just flopped. They really dropped the ball.
So how? But how does that? Okay, what is that? How does that mean that they won't ever be good again?
I want to know
Because
what
the
changed.
other regions are just so much stronger now.
Okay, but
Oh, so they just got better? Creating get
Well,
worse?
I also think it's a little bit of them getting worse. I don't know if it's like a loss of motivation by them, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with that.
okay, so you're saying Korea lost their motivation?
Oh, 100%. It's obvious to see.
Why is it obvious to you? What makes it obvious?
Well, SKT, you could argue that G2 is a really good team, but they're SKT. They're the biggest organization in all of esports.
Well, by what standard?
The fact that they won 3 world champions, they're the most well known. They have Faker. Everyone knows the play of Faker and Ryu.
Okay, so here again.
This is a tough one to grapple because it's kind of just it's like
yeah.
you're kind of just saying things without any like.
So
you say they're the
it's
biggest
hard because I don't feel like you're making
organization,
a very well-reasoned argument. It's just like saying, well, they have Faker.
So, for example, when you say they're the biggest organization in League of Legends, well, actually, that depends what you're saying because they definitely don't have the most money. A lot of North American and Chinese teams are much richer and can have more resources to throw at problems.
Is that
So I
true?
don't know what you. I think
Doesn't
that's true.
SKT have the most expensive roster in all of Professional League right now?
I would bet that's not true.
Oh, I had heard things, but I don't know.
I could be wrong.
I mean, I've heard that the
but,
Faker contract is insane, but
I'm sure the Faker contract's insane, but they, from my understanding of the overall Korean scene, is that it's not nearly as rich, I guess you would say, as like a Chinese scene. But I could be wrong. Either way, the fact that we don't know for sure means it's probably hard for Stevie to say for sure that they're the biggest org and have
It's
the
known
most
that
resources.
Faker has one of the biggest contracts.
so okay, I could sign Zuna to my team right now for $10 million. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm not suddenly the biggest org. But
That's not the point, though. That's not the point.
well, I'm trying to figure out what the point is.
That they won
Yeah,
3
that was-
world championships.
Okay, so
That makes them the biggest.
you could say
maybe
yes,
one
they
bigger
are the most
organization.
long-standing, successful team. But what does that have to do with them losing motivation? Like just because
Yeah,
somebody's
that's what-
won 3
I
world
think-
championships
I think
means they should win all the
argument
others?
I'm trying to make is just look at Korea as a whole. Don't look at just SK Telecom.
Okay.
Like,
But
the
you've told us
whole-
to.
yes, I did.
Okay. But
The
so looking
whole-
at
the
Korea as a
whole-
whole, go on.
The whole region, it's not as dominant as it once was, and you said it in the previous call too.
Agreed.
So yes,
Yeah, it's not
Uh,
as dominant.
And I
but your
think
argument is
if
they're
you
not
look at the
going to
Chinese-
be as dominant ever again. Like no one is disputing they're not as dominant as they once were, but you're saying and they never will be. And when we say, "Well, why won't they?" you're like, "Cuz they're not right now." And it's just sort of like, "Well, yes, but time is linear."
Well, I'm a firm believer that nothing really lasts forever, and I don't think.
So then
Korea's
why would
gonna
it
come
be
back.
forever that they're the worst again?
Yeah,
If nothing
if they're-
lasts forever, then
if-
they would become good again at some point.
Yes.
They're gonna be in the middle. I mean, what do you want me to say to that? They're not gonna be the fucking worst ever. That's obvious, but they're not gonna be number 1 ever again.
Okay,
I
but
can
why won't they
guarantee you-
why won't they be number 1 ever again?
Because they just, dude, I guarantee you, they don't win the next world championships.
Okay.
I would
That's
bet
not
you so
ever.
much.
It's one world championship.
Dude, all right. I know that Travis. I know that we're all laughing right now. We're all having a good time, right? We're not. I just want to be clear. We're not like making fun of you or anything. Just
Yeah, I'm just a little bit nervous. Sorry.
No,
no,
it's
you're
okay.
fine.
It's okay.
It's
You're
good.
fine.
I think
I
it's,
I actually like.
I'm
I think
enjoying
there's a
this.
compelling argument to be had here. It's just that like we're struggling to get there. Because here's an example of something I would say.
Oh.
Korea. Oop, I'm lagging.
Yeah, a
I'm
little
tired.
bit.
Am I okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Am I
You're
okay?
good. You're back. You're back.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're fine now.
Here's a great case you can make. Korea was at their best when vision control was something that you could heavily invest in the game, every time you wanted to, by being at a basically unlimited quantity. And you could have as much vision control as you wanted. And the Koreans are the most controlled region in the world. They've always been the best at control. And for a long period of time, the meta allows you to be like that. And in the last 2 years, Riot has made very conscious efforts to move away from that and to make it so that you cannot play the game with full knowledge the way that the Koreans like to play, and then they take minimal risk for maximum reward. That's not what the meta has been for the past 2 years, and there's no indication that Riot wants to move it back that way. All messaging seems to say that they like what it is, they like how it's going, and it seems to be that if Korea is unable to adapt, what had worked for them for so long is not coming back, and Korea needs to change, and that would be a compelling argument. You know, you could say that with the gigantic population that the Chinese servers has, it was a matter of time before they fielded enough talent to start overtaking them. You know, there are compelling arguments to be why you think Korea won't end up back on top. But just saying that they lost motivation, without saying just they lost motivation, is hard to quantify because Korea, for a long period of time, was the hardest working region, and as far as I'm aware, still are.
Yeah, it's hard to say fakers like. Fakers out there eating hot dogs and drinking beer and talking up the ladies.
He still doesn't have a girlfriend, as far as I know. You know, like the things that stood out about Faker are still true, I believe.
Yeah.
So, like, I think you can have a compelling argument about, well, what's going to matter in the future of LoL Esports? Is it just going to be hard work, or is like having a big roster of people that you can pool on that, like, you know, maybe that's going to matter? I think there is a conversation to be had.
Yeah. Stevie, thanks so much.
Do you
Is
think
there
the
anything
meta's ever going to change? Do you think it's going to go back to the vision control that made Korea so dominant? Because now it's looking like the Chinese players, they like to play very aggressive. Like IG, they play very cocky. So I wonder if it's ever going to change back to that play style.
Like I was saying, you've always seen Riot trying to rework the vision system ever since Season 3. Ever since Korea was like, our support's going to have Moby boots and 15 fucking wards. Ever since that was the thing, every season there have been big changes to the vision system. It hasn't happened for 2+ years. Ever since Trackers was removed, that's really been kind of the death of the control jungler who just is a vision bot, you know, like, because that's just not possible anymore. So like, and I haven't seen anything that says that they're reworking vision again anytime soon. It feels like they like where the vision system's at.
I think the meta's going downhill.
Well, okay,
The
that's a
previous
separate
meta was just so
conversation
much
we don't
better.
have time to get into, unfortunately. Because we've
Alright,
got
that's awesome.
well, we've
Let's
got
move on to the next one.
we've got 20 minutes and 2 more calls to go. So, Stevie, anything you want to say on the way out?
You guys are really cool people. And Travis, I actually met you at the MSG finals with CLG, and you were really fucking cool.
Oh, thanks, dude. Back in 2015.
Yeah,
Not cool
yeah.
anymore though. You're
I
lucky
was
you didn't meet
cool.
him after that.
Yeah, it's
He went
done now.
downhill.
All right, peace, boys.
Thanks, Stevie.
Peace.
Bye.
Have a good night, dude.
All right.
Huh.
On to the next caller. That was fun. I mean, I don't mind. Like, he wasn't aggressive. He was just chill, and that's so. I don't know. Twitch chat likes to like blame people, but look, if people want to call in with a hot take, it's fine if they don't have like the best defense about it, because it spurs conversation. Mark was able to talk about other stuff. Hang on, I'm just messing with the overlay a little bit, fixing it, and we're good. Oh. There we go. Okay. Grabbing, taking a look, let's see if anybody. Oh, One Cupid. Thank you for the 3 months. Thank you for the 3 months. Okay, OPTSM fan is here. OPTSM fan, welcome back to the show. Remind everyone where you're calling from.
Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. And thanks for being a sub. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So I want to just talk about Collegiate championship this week. I think it's really important, and I'm glad that like y'all at least brought it up at the beginning, because I remember last year at this time, Avali he was here like touting, the only person like touting like Collegiate LOL the whole time, and I think it's just important for not only obviously the orgs are going to be looking for it, but I think the fans should look at it because it's going to be an easier way to kind of scout the next upcoming talents for whether it be academy or even LCS for NA talent.
So we've already got people spamming Resident Sleeper in the chat. It's interesting. Collegiate just has a strong anti-push against it. Mark, you're going to be there casting this weekend. Are you able to put up much of a defense for it?
What's that?
Oh, okay.
No, I think. Oh my god, what are
You
you
just
doing,
scared
cat?
your cat.
How do I scare him? It's like he didn't see my hand was coming. No, I think people are wrong to go Resident Sleeper on Collegiate. One, the games are super fucking fun to watch. Like, you want to talk about G2 playing weird shit? Like, yes, you're not watching the best players in the world. No one's gonna sit there and tell you are. But it's a really fun environment because no one's out there. Like, it's their entire livelihood, so it's a lot more relaxed and fun. But the guys still try really hard. It is very important to a lot of them. A lot of their scholarships are from having being on one of their collegiate teams and stuff like that. And to the caller's point, a handful of college pros seemingly every year end up on academy teams or potentially even pro teams. And I think it's not just can be fun for the viewers to watch and see all these guys, but also it's important because it's, I think, a good middle ground. Like, I don't think collegiate will ever be what it is for pro sports, where like you have to play in college for X number of years and everyone who goes pro goes through college. I don't think it should be that. I don't want it to be that, but I think it's a great middle ground for people who are talented at League of Legends but don't want to drop their other talents to pursue their League of Legends dreams quite yet. So you could be a really smart math kid, and like, who the fuck wants to give up on all their math dreams to go full-time pro? Like, that's not for everyone, and collegiate is the
I would give up
perfect
math
place.
dreams if I had math dreams.
All right, well, I don't know what Travis even dreamed of other than esports. But if you ever want to do anything else, I think collegiate is a great middle ground between seeing what a pro career would look like and still being able to chase your other dreams.
I love the expression that cat gets. He just loses his mind.
I know, he just loves it, right? He just opens
he's
his
just
mouth
like he's in
and,
another world.
I wish I was the CC to make happy. Like, he's just someone rubbing his head makes him as happy as he can be.
It's crazy. All right. Anyway, back to the collegiate stuff. I think it's also a nice little thing for people who, I'm happy that they do it the weekend in between MSI and Summer Split, because look, if you're chilling, why not throw it up on the second screen? Do we know what teams are there?
Yeah, so the top 8, the collegiate scene starts all the way back in like January, and they go through a bunch of stuff that's like really convoluted, and there's like way too many teams or whatever, and then they finally get to their top 8, and so you got Maryville and UC Irvine, who are like former champions, and then you have Western University, Illinois, University of Waterloo, Michigan State University, Columbia College, and North Carolina State University, and that's your top 8 right there. So there'll be some names that people have heard of before that have come from collegiate, because I know people in the chat were like, no one even comes from there, and then Mark was like, yeah, they do. Like JJ and No and Bloodwater and Young Ben, and even like Soligo came from CU Boulder, which wasn't like as great of a team overall, but he's now the starting mid laner for 100 Thieves. So there's a lot of go.
Oh, I was gonna say, even some players who are past their prime go back to college but still enjoy collegiate. Like you said, Bloodwater. Some people you might recognize from solo queue, like Prototype Vayne, Prototype Black, whatever. He was on one of the top teams for a little bit. Like, there's usually a handful of recognizable names.
Nintendo X, and then you also have like AF, which I think is even more, because like it is really fun, but it's not gonna be like such a disparity, I think, between if you enjoy watching academy games for Mark Z's casting or whatever, but
Heyo.
yeah, that people like Special and then former Golden Guardians coach Tanner Zhu. He's also he's like part of the Maryville staff and like the CEO of E United or Clerky, who used to be like of Enemy Esports and stuff. Like he's over Maryville and stuff. So like the quality of League of Legends and what these teams are doing is also going up. So it's like you may not go to these universities, but you're really going to enjoy the type of League of Legends coming out because it's not going to be like all these guys play every meta pick or something. You'll see someone pull out some random thing because it's their known pick or something like that. So I think it's got a lot going for it, and I think it'd be really good for NA fans to kind of invest for. I'm just really hoping that the viewership numbers go up is my main thing.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it'll ever be that popular, but people should check it out.
Thanks so much for your call, OPTSM fan, and for your pitch for Collegiate. Anything you want to say on the way out?
Last week I said if TL got out of groups, they'd be the best international NA team ever. So that's cool. And thank you, Alienware and Kelpie, for the Chainsmokers shout out at the end of the show.
Hell
Thanks
yeah,
so much.
dude.
Have a good one. On to our last caller, who has an interesting name.
Travis, what have you done with fucking Mark Scan?
Huh? That's the
It
cat.
seems does it not show up on the broadcast the way it shows up on the Skype call?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, never mind. It does, I guess.
We're just waiting for the last caller to come in. I was gonna do a Hearthstone bounty, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to maintain enough viewers to make it happen. We got a bit of a smaller show to this week.
The last guy, I can't hear.
Should we pull him in and see?
Like I can pull him in, but you're not.
Heisendinger, are you here? The mic lights. It
I can't
lights
hear him
up.
either.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
mic
can't
lights
hear
up.
him.
Can't hear.
Heisendinger, we believe in you. Okay. Sorry, Heisendinger. For some reason, we can't hear you. So maybe we'll get you on in a future show. I'm sorry. I know you waited for a really long time. So just make sure that Mark remembers that this happened, and hopefully we'll have your tech issues solved in the future. We'll let you sit in the call for just a little bit longer and see if it goes. But
You can pretend you're part of the
I mean,
gang.
Discord is just weird. This happens sometimes. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
This was unfortunately our last caller too. So
Heisendinger, you should restart your Discord, close it out, come back. Like completely close the program.
Mark, you have anything you want to promote? Anything you want to say here at the end?
no, just watch Collegiate. Watch this. We did an offline TV video. I was in a podcast that we did on Saturday. So if you want to catch the offline TV podcast where we talk about random Twitch news and other things, check that out.
Yeah, you were like on there because everyone was at EDC, right?
Yeah, we had to get the B team there.
They were desperate. They were
Yeah.
desperate. And then, Kelby,
What's up?
you got anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to say here at the end?
No.
You're going to be on again in the future, right? You're not going to be like, I can't come on ever again.
Depends what Nick says.
Well, Travis, at
Is
least you
Nick
can
your
say
boss
that.
now?
No, but Nick, if Nick felt like my presence on this show was not good for the company and he made the formal request that I not be put in situations where loaded questions are presented to me and even non-answers are telling ones, then I would respect that.
So,
request.
if you don't come on in the future, we know it's Nick Allen's fault.
As I said, the reason that I can't comment on any sort
Nick
of
Allen.
drama going on currently, or if I were to go missing mysteriously, or not ever be able to come on Hotline League again, you would know who to talk to.
The upside to all this, Travis, is that if Kelby can't come on anymore, you can finally say, like, I asked such hard-hitting questions that one of my guests is not able to come back.
Yeah,
and then
he got
people will start
blacklisted from
respecting
Hotline
you.
League.
Yeah,
Pop
so
Dog
people start
blacklisted
respecting
my
you.
show, which is crazy because they represent me. That's even my own agency won't handle, or my own management company, whatever. That we need to be very
What a
careful with it.
madman. Who
Yeah.
won't Travis Gafford grill?
Yes,
Who
exactly.
won't he ask the pressing questions to?
Did Heisendinger try to get back on? I haven't seen him pop back on, so he or she.
Right, yeah, I don't know what's going on, so I'm gonna throw in the towel.
Okay.
I'm fine to spend the last 10 minutes talking about
he was
Game of
typing
Thrones.
in the chat. They said, "Try now. I'm here." Well, you need to
My
join
towel
a chat.
has been thrown in.
You have to join a
I can't
chat.
take my
Come
towel
on, dude. You
out
gotta
of the ring.
try. Try for a Heisendinger.
I
Just this
threw
once.
it in the ring.
On my last show, please.
You piece of shit.
Can you hear him?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
Heisendinger?
You hear me?
Oh my god,
Oh,
it's
it's
so
really
faint.
quiet.
It's like from a can. Can you say something?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. It's I turned you up
Heisendinger, can you
to
put the-
200. I think we might be
Can
better
you
now.
put the mic closer to your mouth?
How about now?
Okay, it's good enough. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, so there's a vacuum in my background. I apologize. So I'm going to try to keep it quick. Long story short, there is no more mechanical gap, and international competitions are going to basically come down to the strategies that teams come up with, more so than the players' ability to individually carry. I think it would be more of like a 5-on-5 team thing, more so than like one guy carrying the entire game.
Okay, so let's well, one, I feel like we saw teams at MSI where it was one guy carrying the entire team. But Mark,
Did he miss finals?
I don't want to see your crotch anymore. Fix it.
No, okay. So finals doesn't count because
Why
I
doesn't
think
it
TL
count?
just showed up on a bad day. So
Sorry,
TL,
one more time?
so it wasn't like. So I believe that if the TL shows up, that showed up against IG, it'd be a completely different finals. I think they actually just like shit the bed for no reason. Also, I'm
Right.
sorry. I also apologize. I'm talking really fast. I'm really nervous.
No, you're good. Don't worry.
Tushai's gonna crucify me. I apologize.
You're good.
You should
but I think
apologize.
on paper,
Don't mess
on
up
paper,
again.
on
ending the
paper,
show.
if every team shows up like to their peak potential, mechanical skill will be marginal between the players. So like if you were to look at TL, IG, SKT, G2, I think as a whole, like as a unit, the mechanical difference between the players is marginal. And that the difference is going to be strategy.
I think that might be true for like one team from each region, but I do think that like mechanical skill discrepancies will show up in IG versus Origin or IG versus Fnatic. I think G2 is a fantastic team. That does not automatically make all teams that are going to go to Worlds from Europe fantastic. And I think the same is true for North America and maybe, even Korea. I think there will be skill discrepancies where like in lane, people will lose. Is it hard enough to completely lose a series over? Maybe, maybe not. But like, we saw Keen versus Licorice. Most people agree Licorice is the best top laner North America has. You can argue maybe it was just a Victor pick, but either way, he got slammed that series and his team still won. And so like, I think I agree with the overall sentiment that in the coming international tournaments, it does feel like it won't just be like, amongst the top teams decided by individual skill. I think it does feel like, who plays better on the day, who has a better grasp on the meta, who developed better strategy going into that series. Like those will be things that matter more because amongst the top teams, the skill discrepancy isn't quite as big, but I don't think that extends to everyone automatically.
Any other thoughts?
No, I agree with Mark. I think, or I guess he kind of worded what I meant a lot better than I could. But no, I'm sorry that I had comm issues.
No, you're completely good, dude. I would have your conversation go for longer, but it's the end of the show, and we've already started to wrap up. So, But thank you for calling in. I mean, I think it's an interesting topic, and I appreciate you adding it in because, yeah, it does feel as though now that we've started to see regions change, who we're seeing in the finals. I mean, Western finals at MSI. I think you can start to question, like, okay, well, what does the future of competitive league look like? Because it looks like we're entering into a new phase or a new world of it. So I appreciate the conversation.
No, yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Anything you want to say?
Happy belated birthday, Travis.
Thank you.
Finally,
someone on the show wishes me a happy birthday.
Yeah, no one said it all show, so that felt really shitty.
It did.
But anyway, Travis, you're great. Mark, you're great.
Hey, thank you.
Kelby, you're a guy.
Oh.
Anyway, have a great night, fellas.
Dunked on. Thanks, Heisendinger. Have a good one. All right.
That's Travis's favorite caller ever.
Yes. All right. So this has been Hotline League episode 76. I've got some more content hitting the channel over the course of this week. Please check it out. Please don't leave because I'm going to do a bounty after this, and if most of you guys leave, I'm screwed. And thanks to Kelby for coming back on the show. Hopefully he comes back on again in the future. If not, it's Nick Allen's fault. Thanks to Mark for being here. And I'm going to do a sick-ass birthday party this weekend, which none of you are invited to except for Kelby and Mark. Mark hasn't even RSVP'd yet, so that makes
for this
me
weekend.
Sad.
Yeah, we'll see. I got Game of Thrones to watch on Sunday nights.
It's over.
No.
You're starting back up again?
Yeah, I actually just finished season 1.
Run it back.
I'm running it back. I just watched season 1 again. What a great show.
Yeah. You're just
Did you really
instead
just
of
watch it
watching the
again?
finale, you're just gonna go through all of them again. Go to the
Watch it again.
birthday because everybody's going. I'm gonna make you so sad if you're not there.
I'll be there.
Okay, good. All right.
Consider me RSVP'd.
Well, I need you to RSVP.
Consider me RSVP'd.
Consider him RSVP.
Hotline League
Consider it.
episode 76 is done.